Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk to you about Ice Cream Man, which was just released this weekend. So let's talk about it. As the movie starts, in the town of Baleen Bay, an ice cream truck run by a mysterious, silent man arrives out of the blue and quickly becomes popular among the local children. Speaking of the local children, lactose intolerant Jared Mayfair avoids eating the treats and is unsettled by the ice cream man, whom he sees following him as he bicycles home. He also notices the children who have eaten the treats are in a trance of a kind and are watching videos depicting the cartoon character that's depicted on the truck of the ice cream man. That night, the truck drives to the neighborhood, playing its music and awakening the children who have eaten the treats. Possessed, they proceed to gruesomely murder their parents. The next day, Jared and fellow classmates Tommy and Mia, who have also not eaten the treats, notice a strange behavior in their peers. The truck arrives at the school, and the children suddenly begin killing their teachers and any other adults in town while force-feeding treats to any non-possessed children. Jared, Tommy, and Mia evade their murderous classmates and barricade themselves in the school. Meanwhile, Jared's teenage sister Lizzie, who had eaten the ice cream that was intended for her brother, finds herself paralyzed when she wakes up, but she manages to make herself vomit up the treat, releasing her from its poison. When Jared calls her for help, Lizzie instructs him to meet her at the local church before some neighborhood children attack her house. Lizzie's ex-boyfriend Chris shows up in his truck to save her, and they drive to the church. As Baleen Bay descends into chaos, Jared, Tommy, and Mia escape from the school and seek refuge in the church basement. They discover a giant walk-in freezer filled with Ice Cream Man's treats and find the local priest hiding there. The priest explains that the Ice Cream Man is Jonathan Smiley, a once kind-hearted man who visited Baleen Bay decades ago and who was unjustly blamed for hurting local children to cover up the actions of the town's predatory priests. Jared's grandfather, an influential lawyer now deceased, ran the case against Jonathan, and the children were pressured to lie, which led to Jonathan being convicted. While in prison, Jonathan was visited by a necromancer who promised him to take revenge on the town in exchange for Jonathan's soul. To stop Jonathan, the priest says, the kids must kill the necromancer and the siren accompanying him in his unmarked grave. When Jonathan arrives at the freezer to get the kids, the priest sacrifices himself to give the kids time to run. Jared, Tommy, and Mia reunite with Lizzie and Chris and continue with them to drive to the cemetery to find the necromancer's grave. As they dig up the bodies, the possessed children attack and force-feed treats to both Mia and Tommy, leaving them possessed. And they also kill Chris. Cornered by Jonathan, Jared and Lizzie stab the bodies in the grave repeatedly, decapitating one of them, but realize too late that they have killed their own parents, who were buried in the grave in order to force this exact outcome. The priest appears and reveals himself to be the necromancer, and that he tricked the kids to help them finish the job for Jonathan. Meanwhile, Jonathan leaves the now decimated Baleen Bay with the possessed children, his revenge complete, as he goes to terrorize the next town. So this movie has been getting bad reviews, and apparently the man behind this movie, I guess, doesn't make good movies, historically speaking, but I very much enjoyed this movie. I thought it was great. You know, it's a non-stop onslaught of brutal, vicious, gory, insane killing and just gross happenings. Like at one point, a little girl is making what you would call snow angels if she were doing it in the snow, only she's doing it in a pool of blood. So it's just out of its mind, this movie, and creepy as hell, and gross as hell, and just paced so relentlessly that you never can catch your breath once the killings start. And I thought it was great. You know, a lot of horror movies these days, and I guess in the past, rely heavily on lore and, you know, complicated plots where, well, we have to go and visit the old lady who knows about the curse. And then the old lady tells us that to fix the curse, we have to find the box, and the box is buried in a certain place that we have to go through. And it's a complicated process. And then in the end, the good guys usually win. And sometimes characters that you thought were goners are able to be saved, even like by having damage to them reversed when the bad guy is killed or the curse is ended or whatever. That doesn't happen in this movie. There's very little lore. There is no crazy setup of complicated concepts. It's this guy got in trouble for something he didn't do. Now he's taking revenge. If you want to stop him, you have to kill these two people, and they're in the graveyard. And that's it. That's it for the lore. The guy doesn't even talk through the movie. He doesn't have like any complicated, dialogue sequences where he tries to, explain himself or whatever. He's just creepy as hell in his silence. And like I said, the pace does not relent. The killings are gross. The kids are scary. Like the kids in this movie, they just did a great job with the acting, both the good kids and the kids that were possessed. But man, like even at the end, I was like, oh, they got his two friends, but they'll be all right at the end. Nope. Nope. They just got. And that's it. There was no happy ending for them. So, unlike in, for example, Welcome to Derry, where really only one of the kids dies, and even then he comes back as a ghost. None of that happens in this. You get got, you're done. It's over. So I was just stunned by that, but in a pleasant way because it's, a complete change of the narrative and just shocking to the system, really, when you expect the usual. And so I think this movie's great. It's getting hammered for being thin on plot and for the pacing being off. I don't know where any of that comes from. I think the fact that the plot was not overladen with, crazy lore and MacGuffin chases made it bite-sized and awesome. And I thought the villain, some people are criticizing the villain that he's not very engaging. I disagree. I thought he was creepy as hell. I just think this movie was great. I think it's a 5 out of 5. So everybody should go see it. But I'm going to get out of here before I start repeating myself. I'll be back with another video soon. Until then, I wish you peace and long life.